Imagine standing in the ashes of a crumbling empire, watching literally centuries of human knowledge facing total annihilation. What would you do? Well, in the 13th century, which was an era of just unprecedented catastrophe for the Islamic world, one Persian polymath decided not just to save a few scattered fragments of history, but to document everything. He embarked on this monumentally ambitious quest to capture the complete scale of existence in a single manuscript. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to explore the mind of a visionary who dared to map out the very fabric of reality. It's a pretty staggering question, right? How could one single book possibly describe the heavens, the earth, animals, plants, minerals, strange creatures, and all the deepest mysteries of nature? Just pause for a second and think about the sheer, seeming impossibility of recording a complete picture of creation itself. We're talking 8 centuries ago, long before modern telescopes or global databases. It sounds like an impossible dream, honestly, a task way too vast for any single human life. But one man actually stepped forward to answer that impossible challenge, Zakariya Al-Qazwini. And he wasn't merely some scribe recording dry, disconnected facts, not at all. He was a jurist, a geographer, an astronomer, and a natural philosopher, all trying to decode the grand, interconnected order of the cosmos. For Al-Qazwini, the universe wasn't just a random collection of matter. Actually, scratch that. It wasn't random at all. It was a perfectly connected system, flowing from the stars way up above, all the way down to the absolute smallest creatures on Earth. Section 1. A Scholar Amidst Chaos. The 13th Century Crisis. Okay, let's dive into this. The 13th century was an era defined by profound geopolitical ruin. The Mongol invasions were literally sweeping across Asia, completely shattering the political and institutional structures of classical Islamic civilization. Yet right in the heart of all this destruction, we see an incredible counter-movement of scientific preservation. Scholars were fighting to codify the knowledge of the Islamic Golden Age before it was lost forever. Al-Qazwini was born around 1203 in Qazvin, Persia, but by 1220, as just a teenager, he was forced to flee his home ahead of the devastating Mongol forces that actually claimed the life of his own great-grandfather. He spent years migrating through intellectual sanctuaries like Mosul and Damascus, studying alongside brilliant minds, including the famous mystic Ibn al-Arabi. He even survived the horrific sack of Baghdad in 1258. So his desperate quest to map a perfect, unshakable universal order, it was deeply reactive. It served as this psychological and intellectual anchor while his physical world was literally falling apart. Section 2. The Wonders of Creation. His masterpiece. Amidst all this chaos, Al-Qazwini compiled his encyclopedic masterpiece, The Wonders of Creation and Peculiarities of Existing Things. And look, this wasn't just a science textbook. It brilliantly combined empirical observation, natural history, and theology into one seamless narrative, all designed to showcase the limitless power of the divine. At the very heart of this encyclopedia are 2 concepts he carefully defines right at the start. An ajab, or a marvel, is a phenomenon that confuses us because we can't quite grasp its cause. A gharib, or a strange thing, is something rare that causes immediate astonishment. Al-Qazwini held this incredibly beautiful worldview where science and observation were acts of divine contemplation. He wanted his readers to encounter the unknown and feel wonder rather than fear. Section 3. Mapping the Heavens. The Cosmic Descent. Let's move to and see how this builds. To structure this massive encyclopedia, Al-Qazwini structurally mirrored his book to reflect a grand cosmic descent. Utilizing classical Ptolemaic models and Neoplatonic emanationism, he mapped out 9 rotating celestial spheres, starting right from the perfect, incorruptible heights of the celestial realm. Working his way down to Earth, he traced what he believed was the continuous, hierarchical flow of existence from a single divine source. Starting from the Earth at the center, he detailed the spheres of the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Beyond them lay the sphere of fixed stars, containing the classical constellations, and finally, the mysterious sphere of spheres, the prime kinetic force driving all celestial motion. And he wasn't just generalizing here, he was remarkably precise. Drawing on the advanced astronomical tables of his era, Al-Qazwini calculated the precessional cycle of the equinoxes. He noted that the fixed stars complete a full precession of 360 degrees over a period of approximately 36,000 solar years. To put that into perspective, long before we had any modern deep space telescopes, scholars like him were applying rigorous mathematics to unlock the secrets of the night sky. Absolutely incredible. But for Al-Qazwini, space wasn't an empty vacuum. No way. It was populated by angels. He actually dedicated significant portions of his work to angelology. He described them as beings created pure and perfect, harboring zero negative emotions. And crucially, they serve as the imperceptible workers of the cosmos, maintaining the whole order of creation. He believed they even assist in the metabolic processes of life on Earth, acting in perfect invisible harmony with human effort. Section 4. The terrestrial realm, the sublunar domain. So, below the perfect heavens lies the sublunar domain, our Earth. It's a place defined by constant change and decay, driven by the continuous mixing of the four classical elements: fire, air, water, and earth. Here, Al-Qazwini detailed everything from cloud formations and winds to the terrifying mechanics of earthquakes. And this brilliantly illustrates his highly ornate worldview, a beautifully circular map capturing the Earth. It's adorned with gold to designate boundaries and mountains, and silver for the seas, centering entirely on the Islamic world and the Indian Ocean. It's not just geography, it's a breathtaking piece of 13th century visual culture, capturing the Earth as a literal jewel of divine craftsmanship. Following classical tradition, Al-Qazwini divided this inhabited Earth into 7 distinct climatic zones. He envisioned them as parallel red lines spanning from the equator all the way up to the northern polar region. And he argued fiercely that the physical environment, the temperature, the air, the specific land, profoundly influences not just the local flora and fauna, but human temperament, physical appearance, and even our intellectual flourishing. Section 5. The Kingdoms of Nature, Earthly Matter. Zooming even further down, Al-Qazwini basically created a medieval encyclopedia of biology and geology by categorizing all earthly matter into 3 distinct natural kingdoms. First, he examined the mineral kingdom, detailing how vapors inside the earth mix to produce metals and precious stones, making sure to note their unique properties and medicinal values. Then, he moved to the vegetable kingdom. He noted how plants occupy a fascinating, almost magical middle ground. Think about it. They lack the defect of solid stone and can grow, drawing nourishment from the sun, but they haven't quite reached the fully sensible moving state of animals. Now, what's really interesting about this taxonomy of the animal kingdom is that man sits at the very apex. He viewed the human being as the ultimate microcosm, a tiny universe unto ourselves. We have the growth of a plant, the sensibility of an animal, and the intellect of an angel, completely mirroring the entire macrocosm of the wider universe. And to explain how all of this earthly life actually remained physically stable, well, he beautifully integrated scientific geography with widespread cosmological mythology. He described a flat, disc-like Earth surrounded by the mythological Kaf Mountains. This Earth is held up by an angel, standing on a slab of green adjacent. And this slab, it's supported by a giant bull named Kujata, which in turn rests on the back of the colossal cosmic fish Bahamut, swimming in a primeval ocean. For him, myth and science weren't enemies. They were harmonious parts of the whole cosmic truth. Section 6. Imagination, Science, and a Lasting Legacy. So the crucial point is, Al-Qazwini wasn't an experimental scientist in the modern sense. He was really a cultural preservationist, providing comfort to a completely traumatized society. During an era of extreme political fragmentation, he collected travelers' tales, folklore, rigorous astronomy, and geography, binding them all together to prove that, beneath the chaos of war, an unshakable, beautiful divine order still remained. He operated through the theological lens of occasionalism, which is the belief that natural events are direct habitual interventions by the divine, rather than just autonomous physical laws. By framing nature this way, he successfully rendered empirical observation entirely compatible with religious devotion. Studying the stars or dissecting a plant wasn't a challenge to faith. For him, it was the ultimate expression of it. Zakariya Al-Qazwini looked up at the stars and down at the dirt and saw one unified, miraculous story. He codified knowledge when the world was literally burning around him. So I want to leave you with this. How does his 13th century desire to find order amidst chaos and wonder in the vast unknown inspire our unending modern pursuit to understand the cosmos today? Think about that next time you look up at the night sky. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring and stay curious.